not be at the cost of the beauty of the epistemology of these systems. And however hard-pressed we are, and however far behind China we may be, I think we are still privileged, and I will use this word. We are privileged that we still have such people with such deep knowledge as those who have spoken here, and that there are many like them who still can talk about translating between one system of knowledge and the other. Let's not lose that absolutely wonderful resource. It's very important. And let's continue to assert that the epistemology must be respected as well in our mad desire to be part of the globalized world and to be accepted by the leaders in the globalized world. Let's not give this up. It's really not worth it, because we are talking about the future of the planet. We are talking about the future of humankind. We are not talking about the future of the Indian economy and whether it's going to be 6% or 9%. There's much more to it than that. I think that the third point that I would like to make is about, talk about toxicity and so on. At one level, what you understand as toxic, bhasmas have been used for the longest time, and they have the most sophisticated, complex processes of being made, which establish that the toxicity has to be done away with before you can dispense it as medicine. And who considers this toxic? I think it's the way in which we understand what toxicity is, and why we find it so difficult to accept. There's no question that it would be admirable if we were able to establish in modern scientific criteria how a bhasma is not toxic. No question about it. But I think it's also important for us to recognize why is it that we keep on, getting beleaguered by this idea, and the fact that we need to we are so hassled. But at the same time, I think we put up a stout defense of many of our medicines, but that only comes because of the deep knowledge that practitioners and makers of medicine in this country and the confidence they have in what they make. Unless they had that, we would never have been able to put up this challenge globally. But the parallel to this, and because Dr. Meera Shiva is sitting here, I want to mention this, that, in this country, we've also fought the battle of generic and patent medicines, where it's not toxicity, but it's a different set of medicines, a different set of issues in terms of what is in that medicine and who's going to use it and at what price. And we've had a huge political movement on this to say that, look, medicines have to be, why generic medicines? And if generic medicines are fine, then why is it that so many powerful institutions across the world and powerful governments are constantly pressing us to not use generic medicines? And this is, I've just, encountered this whole debate in Brazil as well. And Brazil, India, these are countries which have fought for generic medicines for their country. It's a parallel, Mrs. Chandra, in terms of what medicine is good for whom. And I think that we need to see these kinds of parallels. I think we have something here, and we don't need to be so defensive about these things. There are, I suppose, there are a great many number of things that I would like to say. I studied industry very closely, and lots has been said about industry, so I would not like to dwell on that. But as the last point, one of the things that I do want to say is that, unless I missed it, Ms. Chandra, one of the things is that is a strength, or that could have been a strength, in the government sector of providing Ayurvedic, Unani, etc., medicines, not just the healthcare, but actual medicines to people, was the whole network of government state pharmacies that we created in the early years. And the fact that pharmacies have actually let down the system in a big way. We all gun for industry, and we should. There's no question about it. I think industry has taken advantage to a great extent. I've said this very clearly in my work, wherever I've written. So I have issues, and industry has done good, but industry has also taken Ayurveda in directions which are problematic. That's a different set of issues. But Ayurvedic state, not just Ayurvedic, but Unani, all the other pharmacies of the states, they were meant to produce good quality medicines for the common person, the person I'm talking about, the person who's not the consumer, but who will go to a सरकारी अस्पताल and उसको दवा मिलनी चाहिए. अब उन्होंने नहीं बनाया. And the only reference, and I have looked high and low, for reports to talk about it. The last time it was ever referred to in any government report was, lo and behold, the UDIPA committee report. It's the UDIPA committee that sent out, exactly like you did, Mr. Chandra, all the questionnaires, which I think are absolutely amazing. I think the questionnaires you've sent out on education and so on, I'm not really competent to comment on them, but I think they're beautifully done. But the questionnaire, if you see the UDIPA annexure on the questionnaire that he sent out to the pharmacies, it's amazing how much of it continues to be relevant. And I think that we need a thorough understanding, investigation, analysis of what we did with the state pharmacies. Because this report is being done in the context of the 12th plan, many of us have been, at some point of time or the other, collared by, the department to say, come and give ideas and so on. And I did my two-penny bit when I was asked, and this is one of the things I raised, and I was surprised to see that the department was quite taken aback when I said, but we are talking about what the industry should do and the research should do. All pertinent questions. What happens to the pharmacies? Why are the pharmacies not being brought in the picture? Don't we need to see why they are not doing what they are doing? Or are they doing something valuable which we are not assessing properly? And I believe, and that's my two-penny bit for the 12th plan, along with your marvelous report, is that I think we need an UDIPA track too. I think we do need a complete assessment of these pharmacies, and I think a link between government research, pharmacies, and industry. It's not simply just between research in the government and in the industry. I think if we were to put this in, we make our lives much easier, because we have an established set of institutions with which to work. We don't have to create anything new. It's there. And it's something that we reinforce the public. We reinforce the fact that we are committed to making medicines for those who cannot pay for them. And I think that this has to be a very important perspective in this entire exercise. Much of this, that perspective gets reflected in so many aspects of this report, which is why I really enjoyed reading it and I appreciate it very much. And I know that for a long time to come in my courses, this will be one of the standard references that I will have my students read. Thank you so much.
Everyone, the panelists, and to the two DGs for having spared their time to have been here. It has encouraged me a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.